From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a major night here on Evenings LA. Live, Stimulus Live, and also Wall Street Live, as big stimulus checks are available to millions of Americans. In this broadcast over 1 hour, we're going to go over those $300,000 of stimulus checks the viewers have been getting since the month of March. I'll show you how to get them tonight. Fast stimulus that pays out in less than 2 days. 18 months of stimulus checks, $3,000 a month in stimulus checks, and 5 stimulus checks across the board per month. But the breaking news tonight, job numbers, more unemployed people month to month. And the latest numbers, it's not good. Hot sauce. Do you like your sauce hot? Well, Chipotle is red hot. And why? Does restaurants and similar types of food companies do so well in a recessionary environment? It's expected to go big business in 2023. Shop till you chop. We thought that Black Friday had brought in major retail numbers, but apparently it did not. Shop till you chop. Cutting the prices brought the consumers in the stores, but the retailers did not make particularly good money. That's why you need to get these incredible stimulus checks over this 1 hour broadcast. We're going to go over these massive stimulus checks, $300,000 of $300,000 stimulus checks. You qualify. They're from the federal government, and viewers of this channel have been getting them since March. They got them last month. They're getting them this month. Once you're approved, they're automatic. 5 checks per month, and including you if you're on SSI and SSDI, Social Security, and railroad benefits. They're everywhere. And tonight we're going to go over why they're not from your state, why they're not for any particular individual or group, but why you need to pounce and get these incredible checks across the board. You need to apply, and you need to move really fast in tonight's recording. Plus, we'll be going into the other breaking news we're working on tonight, which is Deck the Hallways. Lowe's beat, and why are they beating if the housing market's falling apart? Melt in your mouth. Hershey's continues the narrative from Campbell's and also Smucker's beating on top and bottom, and recession or not, the series of new data today is conflicting. But is it? All the latest details from the shores of Santa Monica, California. Good evening. Happy holidays. On Evenings LA tonight, we got all the breaking news, brand new stimulus. It's a big show for LALATE Live, for Stimulus Live, and for Wall Street Live. Welcome as well. It's a huge show, big money, and over this 1 hour broadcast, we have a lot of major breaking news we're working on tonight. It all starts right now on Evenings. And good evening, everybody. Tonight, and thank you for joining me on a big broadcast. Massive amounts of stimulus checks coming to millions of Americans. We're going to go over those big stimulus checks and also how to get them, what they are, and where they are. The breaking news all heats up tonight's broadcast. From the shores of Santa Monica, your benefit raise, your housing market, your unemployment, and of course your 4 stimulus breaking news tonight across the board. We start first with these big stimulus checks, $300,000 of stimulus checks, fast, paying out in about 2 days, 18 months on average of stimulus checks every month. Once you're approved, they come every month. They came from viewers last month, they're coming this month, and they're coming next month. $3,000 a month and 5 stimulus checks per month on average. These stimulus checks are bold. Let's go over what they are. The stimulus checks were passed in March. Viewers have been getting these stimulus checks since March. Over this 1 hour broadcast, I'll show you, as part of the Purple Power community, there's 18 months of MSC checks that viewers are getting on average, and 5 checks per month, and how you can get them as well, including if you're on SSI and SSDI VA, they're everywhere. These are for the federal government, so you need to move fast, number one. Number two, our session is less than 30 days away. They're not from your state, and I'm going to show you every check. I'm going to show you how to get every check. I'm going to teach you what this is over this 1 hour broadcast. Sit back and get ready to learn and earn over this big broadcast. But first, let's go into the breaking news we're dealing with tonight, which is the jobs numbers. The job numbers were released this Thursday morning. I've been featuring them on this channel for 2.5 years. And there are 2 numbers, as you know, released every Thursday morning. And one of them, not so bad, but the other one, really quite bad. The first number, not so bad. The new jobless claims number, which is how many people newly went on unemployment. Anything above 260 is certainly very bad. So we're staying still at about 230,000 new jobless claims per week. That's a good number. It didn't go that much higher, only about 6,000 more than the prior week. So that's actually relatively good. Actually 4,000 compared to the prior week. That's actually a good number. It's the second number in there was not good. The second number in there, which is continuing jobless claims, these are people who are unemployed last week or a prior week and are still continuing to be unemployed, grew substantially. It grew by 62,000 people in 1 week alone to 1.671 million Americans are continuing long-term unemployed. That's really a very high number, folks. A 1.3, a 1.2, I wouldn't worry about. Something heading to 1.7, I'm really worried about, which is really basically where it is. How high is it compared to this year? It's the worst number we've had this year for long-term unemployed people. They're still unemployed week after week since February 5th of 2022. Now, Jay Powell's policy and the Federal Reserve's policy is to get inflation down by making more people unemployed. It's not a policy I agree with, but that's how he's doing it. So this number could very much well go to 1.8 by Christmas time, and certainly potentially to 2 million by early next year if he continues at this rate. The second major story we're working on tonight is hot sauce. Hot sauce. How much hot sauce do you have in the house? Jump in the live chat. I have a lot. I even bought 4 more this week that I've never tried before. I like to try new hot sauce. They're not particularly expensive. They're 80 cents, 90 cents. I just like to try them. And they're totally different tastes. But hot sauce, that's Chipotle. Chipotle is now a top pick for next year from Bernstein. The stock is down 15% this year, but Bernstein says it's deliciousness. Attracting high-end consumers and leveraging a strong debt-free balance sheet to fuel growth is more suitable to Chipotle in next year. Put a little bit of onion and put some hot sauce on top of that. This is surprising. I mean, this is really surprising because some of the restaurants are not doing well. We had Dave & Buster's yesterday that didn't do well. Chipotle is down 14% year to date, but Bernstein is predicting it to go up 25% next year with a $1,900 price target. Wow, that is fascinating, and things surprise me all the time. The third major story we're working on tonight is shop till you chop. That's shop till you chop, not shop till you drop. What happened? Shocker. You and I thought that those holiday retail numbers were going to be good. You know, I talked about it with you in the stores. We talked about it with the data. We presumed that the Black Friday sales and the discounting and the traffic in the stores brought in massive numbers for retail sales, for business and income to those retailers during the week of Black Friday. Apparently untrue, because a brand new report today reveals that those numbers were actually not good at all. Wait a second, this is a shocker. Goldman Sachs, the bank, reports that holiday spending was relatively flat. When they looked at the retail sales numbers and finalized numbers today, they say, get ready for this one because you're gonna get shocked by that. I was shocked. The November retail sales numbers for Black Friday were actually worse than the prior month of October. Who buys stuff in Halloween. Who buys Christmas stuff on Halloween? So November did not bring in the consumers. The November showed a 2.2% decline in retail commerce compared to the month of October. And guess what? December's flat, they say. This is Chief Economist Jan Hazes in a research note obtained today by LA News. Now, online spending rose 4% year to date. That's better, but that's lower than the 11% that is now moving year to date generally for online transactions. Okay, so retail did not deliver numbers. That is a big shocker. And that is really why I had to get these stimulus checks. Imagine the first two stories right out the bat tonight are not particularly good. If the retailers did not make money during Black Friday, and that people are losing their jobs already before the retailers actually see the results of December's Christmas sales, then imagine how many unemployed people are going to be here in January. That's why I had to get all these incredible stimulus checks. These massive stimulus checks are huge, and these stimulus checks have been law since the month of March. Let me explain to you why I've been able to get stimulus checks since the month of March and how they started to land on this channel since the month of March. The breaking news all starts right now in the big second half of the shores, in the first half, we're still in the first half, of Evenings LA. Back in February of this year, I was the only American broadcaster ever in early spring of 2022 to record, based upon my analysis of data, my prediction that the U.S. economy would go into a deep recession that'll start in 2023 January and go for 2 years into the middle to late of 2024. At the time, people thought I was crazy, but you did not. 30 days out in March of this year, you said, well, LA, you taught us to be always cautious with our money. If you're right, if we're going into a long, deep recession starting in 2023, find me some darn stimulus checks. And you said that in March. We got lucky because that night, Joseph Biden had passed a series of executive actions, and I immediately featured them on this channel that night in a special breaking news report, and you started getting those incredible checks. Those are your federal stimulus checks. Now let's go over what my mandate, what my goal was with stimulus checks on this channel in March of 2022. Number one, I wanted big checks. I wanted big checks because I'm predicting on this channel 2-year recession. 2-year recession is very different than a 6-month lockdown because of COVID. 2-year recession is substantially longer. It's 4 times longer than any lockdown. So you need massive amounts of checks, tens of thousands of dollars to survive a financial downturn in this economy for 2 years. And we got them. These incredible checks, which we're going to go over these stimulus checks in this recording, are paying viewers on this channel on average $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000. A lot of viewers have gotten $200,000 of stimulus checks. I'm going to show you how to get them. Item number 1 done. Number 2, broad eligibility. I want you to be able to qualify for the stimulus checks, and you can. There's only 2 qualifiers, and you qualify for them very easily. Number 1, if you're a single individual, you need to make $75,000 less to qualify for these stimulus checks. You do. And if you're a married couple, you have to make less than $150,000 a year to qualify for these stimulus checks. You do. That's it. There's nothing else to the equation to qualify for these stimulus checks. It doesn't matter if you're behind on bills or ahead on bills. It doesn't matter if you rent or you own. It doesn't matter if you have children or you don't have children. It doesn't matter if you're on benefits or not on benefits. It doesn't matter if you're in Texas or Florida or Nebraska or Wisconsin. It's from the federal government. Number 3. The third focus for me was to make it easy for you. Easy and fun. And the way I did it, a totally innovative way to deliver the news, a newsletter. A newsletter delivered from me to you Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. And in there, I put all the checks, the applications. All you have to do is click the link and go right and apply. I do all the work for you. All you have to do is listen to the entire video from beginning to end and then go in and apply for these incredible checks. Don't worry, we're just getting started on these checks. In this recording, I'm going to go over the categories of checks. We're going to go over every check one at a time, you and I, so you understand what they are so you can go apply. It's that straightforward. But let's go back into the breaking news first to understand how we got here and understand why you got to get these checks tonight. So the other breaking news stories we're working on tonight are bad retail sales now worrying Americans because of those companies didn't make money. They could be laying off more people in the new year. The other stories we're dealing with right now is deck the hallways. What could that be? Is that Christmas decorations? No, it is actually building the hallways. It is actually building the hallways. Lowe's was majorly upgraded today by Bank of America. Analysts at Bank of America called Lowe's home improvement store very attractive and said it can go up 34% next year, the stock alone. Why are they saying this? Now, this is confusing because the housing industry is down. People are not buying new homes. They're not selling existing homes. So what's going on? They see the numbers absolutely out of control. They see a very robust market for home improvement, even if you're staying in the home, with a range of 8 billion to 92 million, and they see same-store growth dramatically, about 2%, with retail assumption of up to 14%, and that Lowe's looks really cheap. They're putting a price target of Lowe's to go to $278 a stock next year. That would be 34% higher across the board. That's confusing because the housing market's in a housing crash and Lowe's is predicted to go higher. Boy, folks, this is getting really confusing. Now, let's go to melts in your mouth. And this is actually easier. What do Smucker's jelly, Campbell's soup, and Hershey's chocolate have in common? They're all delicious. Well, they have something else in common. They've all beat on top and bottom in corporate earnings this week. And the latest was today with Hershey's. Same story every night. These consumer good food products that are shipped, that are canned goods, are absolutely killing it. And they're killing it because reportedly consumers are willing to pay a little bit more for that canned Smucker's jelly, or for that canned Campbell's soup, or tonight for that Hershey's melts in your mouth chocolate than they would have done in prior years. And those are delivering big numbers. UBS upgraded Hershey's chocolate today from a buy to an overweight, with their prediction that it could go up 14% next year. Incredible. A $269 price target. Wow. What a confusing economy this is. And this is why you have to get these incredible stimulus checks. Now, let's understand how stimulus checks work by understanding the two branches of government that are at issue. I know you're very proud of where you live, but for the rest of this recording, I want you to forget where you live, because where you live has nothing to do with stimulus. Where you live has nothing to do with your stimulus. All you have to do is live in the United States. That's all you have to know. Why is this? The reason why is the stimulus feature on this channel, the stimulus checks feature on this channel, are from the federal government. They're not from your state. There's two different branches of government that we deal with on a daily basis. Your city, county, and state, or the people in Washington, D.C., the Congress, the president. That's the federal government. How much money does your city and county have? About this, or a flat zero. They've never had any money. They're always bankrupt. They're always run out of money. They have nothing for anyone, anywhere. It's always been a big problem. That's why I don't cover money in your state. It's not from your state. They don't write the check. They don't have anything to do with your stimulus. They have nothing to do with it. The money that I cover on this channel is from the federal government. It's for Americans. So it doesn't matter where in America you live. It's for Americans. And those incredible stimulus checks are for the federal government. They have this type of money. The federal government's very rich, always has been, always will. And the big checks have been on this channel since March. And that is why it's important to get these incredible stimulus checks. Let's go over how they came to be by looking back to the month of March. In March, viewers asked me to find them big checks, and I immediately found them that night when Joseph Biden passed that beautiful executive action in the month of March. Let's look and see what happened then before we bring it up to the present with this current situation. Joseph Biden in the month of March passed a series of executive actions, and what happened? It was a lot of money. It was $100,000 for the first three federal stimulus checks. They're checks, federal stimulus checks, F, A, B, and C. Executive action passed these stimulus checks then, and you qualify for these stimulus checks. They are big, and you qualify. Single individual, $75,000 less, go get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, go get it. Go get these stimulus checks. There's nothing else to consider about it. Do it right today. Become a member to this channel. Go right in the video and become a member. And in a second, we're going to go over these incredible stimulus checks one at a time. But then came Congress, and Congress passed other stimulus checks in a beautiful bill establishing hundreds of stimulus checks for you, the members of this channel, to get. And Purple Power has been getting these incredible checks. I'm going to go over each of them with you in this recording. Those are checks, stimulus checks, E through K. Then I found you more stimulus checks, L and M, N and O, for members of this channel. And they're all in the LALATE newsletter. Delivered from me to you at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time via the YouTube alerts. You go down that YouTube alert till you see the guy at the surfboard, pass him, pass the guy at the surfboard, there he is, and click the link that says View Post. It sends you right into the newsletter. Again, delivered 7 o'clock Pacific, know your time zone. Midwest is Central Standard Time, that's 9 o'clock, and East Coast is 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And go right in that newsletter and apply for those incredible checks. Become part of this incredible family, join the Purple Power family, and get these huge checks tonight. And without a delay, let's go right into the first 3 checks starting right now. Those first 3 checks are important because you want to increase the confidence of the consumers, reduce the spending, and increase the big money. Let's look at those first 3 stimulus checks right now. The first stimulus check of the federal government, those FSCs, is Check A. It's a $6,500 to $12,000 stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 or less. Annual income, go get this stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 less or $150,000 or less annual income, go get this wonderful stimulus check. And who has gotten that wonderful stimulus check? A lot of viewers, including Spelly and Kimberly. How do you get this wonderful $12,000 stimulus check of Check A? You go under the video, join this channel, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP. Then get that newsletter. Delivered, watch the time zone via the YouTube alerts. Midwest is 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. East Coast, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. West Coast, my time, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Go down that YouTube alerts and click the link, and it sends you right into the newsletter and apply for Check A. But you're not done there yet, because that's just the first of 300 stimulus checks in tonight's recording. You're going to go get Check B. And Check B is the check that's making the big difference, because Check B is the one that's delivering lots of months of stimulus checks. Check B is delivering, on average, about 18 months of stimulus checks, 5 checks per month, in many cases, $80,000 to $100,000 of stimulus checks for viewers, and it's happening all the time. Success stories have been on this channel every single day in recent days, and here's one of them. Frank Mancuso got 18 months of stimulus checks. He got 18 months of mortgage stimulus checks, 18 months of utility stimulus checks, 18 months of high-speed internet checks. Folks, that's about 6 to 5 stimulus checks per month. That is tens of thousands of dollars of stimulus checks. You move right away. You go out on this video, join the channel, and get that incredible Check B of stimulus checks. A lot of stimulus checks in that Check B. Now, you're not done there yet. You're going to go get Check C. Check C is for rent, utilities, and mortgage assistance stimulus checks. And we've been doing this on our channel for a long time. In some cases, viewers are getting mortgage stimulus checks from Check B and also rent stimulus checks for Check B as well. How do you get this wonderful stimulus Check C's? Go into the video, become a member, then go down in the membership newsletter to where it covers Check C, and it tells you who to call, what to say, and how to say it with 12 different places. Now repeat, make sure you reach out to all 12 places, because some will say yes and some will say no. And in those 12 places, I tell you who to call, what to say, and how to say it for those incredible rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, more. Let's look at some of the success stories from Check C's. Do you want $30,000 of rent stimulus checks? Well, go into the video and become a member. Then go down to where it says Check C and look and see what happened here. $30,000 of rent stimulus. This is what what viewers have gotten. Join this channel. And what about utility stimulus checks? Well, here's Mark. He got $6,500 of utility stimulus checks. His brother-in-law got $15,000 of stimulus checks. And that same brother-in-law got $250,000 over 10 years of SNAP stimulus checks. And what about combinations of stimulus checks? Well, Mark was at $32,000 of stimulus checks. He went to $50,000 of stimulus checks, then $100,000 of stimulus checks, and then $166,000 of stimulus checks. Here's Lorraine. She went from $105,000 of stimulus checks to $150,000 of stimulus checks. The success stories in recent days have been huge. Last weekend, Lynn Glenn helped a family member get 12 months of stimulus checks. How many stimulus checks has Lynn Glenn watched and learned to earn on this channel in recent weeks? About 26 stimulus checks at least. How many stimulus checks? She has now gotten in recent days, and this is in the last 2 weeks, she has gotten 12 months of stimulus checks, 14 months of utility stimulus checks. And that's not 14 checks. That's 14 times 5 checks. And now she's helping family members. That's how you rock and roll. Dragon, a longtime triple member to all 3 channels, LALATE1 that airs Stimulus Live, and LALATE2 that airs Wall Street Live, and LALATE1 that airs LALATE Live. Dragon has gotten $170,000 of stimulus checks. It's happening all the time. You do it as well. Go right on this video, become a member, click the link, make sure the bell is set to all notifications for all on, and get those incredible stimulus checks. Let's go back into the next breaking story we're working on tonight. Recession or not? Well, this one's a fascinating story tonight. A series of data points are released today, and those data points are slightly conflicting on whether we are in a recession, heading to recession, or never going to recession. But are they both data points? On this channel, I teach you to always lead with data. Data is what did inflation say? What did unemployment say? What did jobs say? Then analysis is, I think based upon that, this is what my prediction is. Well, let's look at this data tonight and understand whether it's data or whether it's sort of faux data. Brand new element you're learning tonight, and it's called faux data. What is it? 2/3 of the S&P 500 stocks tonight, are at 52-week highs. So 2/3 of stocks are absolutely through the roof. Literally through the roof. 2/3 of the stocks in the S&P 500 are through the roof. Now, wait a second. Is that data or is that fake data? My opinion is it's fake data because the movement of a stock is not really data. The movement of the stock is being moved by someone else's opinions or analysis of a situation. So there are 20 people that have the same wrong analysis, they're going to move the stock up. Moving the stock up is not data. That's analysis driven. So when you look at all those stocks up today, you may say no recession. I don't. I say that's not data. I say it's analysis. Here's the conflicting data tonight, and this is data. The yield curve inversion is more inverted tonight, folks, than it has ever been since the year 2021. And you know what has happened since 2021? In 2000 was the first recession. 2008 was the second recession. And now the yield curve inversion curve, which is important to simply know for this equation, it happens when you have a recession. The curve is tonight the most inverted it has ever been in 20 plus years and over 2 prior recessions. A yield curve inversion happens when a recession's happening. It's 100% guaranteed in 2 prior recessions. Tonight, it's even more pronounced in the prior 2 recessions. So why would you ever think that there's not going to be a recession? The yield curve inversion, what is it? It's the 3-year bond and the 10-year bond. And when they're inverted, meaning that a shorter duration bond pays higher, which makes no sense. Longer time in the bank pays more money than shorter time. When they're inverted, it means you are in a recession. I've been featuring the yield curve inversion on this channel for several months, and tonight it's worse than it's ever been. That means a recession is just around the corner. And when is that recession? I have agreed in recent months, it starts in January. And last night on LA Late Night, our brand new hit show at 8 o'clock, I asked a series of questions of the people in the live chat, and these were the answers. First, I said, when do you believe the recession starts? I've been saying it's January since earlier this year. Do you still believe January? They said yes. Okay, then I asked, when do you believe we will learn if it's going to be a hard recession, which is a very bad recession, or a light recession, which is much of nothing? Viewers in the live chat last night all agreed around February or March. Ionis, Shirley Parker, Ann, and Crayola, they all agreed we're going to learn around February or March next year if it's going to be a really bad recession or a very short recession. And number 3, I also said, what do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be a long recession, 2 years, as I've been predicting, or a short recession, like 2-3 months, which is called a light recession? Overwhelming majority of the viewership of this channel said long and hard recession, deep recession. So that's why you have to get these incredible stimulus checks. Imagine the first, second stimulus packages were for a COVID lockdown that was 6 months. Tonight we're dealing with a recession that's going to be 2 years. You can't cut it with a $600 check. You can't cut it with a $1,200 check. You need to cut it with tens of thousands of dollars. And that big money continues in the big second half. It is all incredible, great news. I'll see you back in 60 seconds as LA Evenings, LALATE 1, Stimulus Live, and Wall Street Live continues tonight.
If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE Live Daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE.
And the excitement continues. On a big second half from the shores of Santa Monica, California, we went over unemployment, but we continue with forced stimulus in the big second half starting right now. Big stimulus checks for you if you're on SSI, SSDI, VA, and everyone else are everywhere. And these are 300 different checks, $300,000 of stimulus checks, paying out on average to the viewership of this channel, 18 months of stimulus checks. And how much checks per month? A lot of it. In those incredible months, the viewers are getting about $3,000 of stimulus checks per month and about 5 stimulus checks per month. It's important to remember a series of factors when doing these stimulus checks. Number 1, they are not from your state. Number 2, you need to move fast. Number 3, you need to apply. Get these incredible stimulus checks across the board. Remember, $300,000 paying out about 2 months, 18 months of stimulus checks, $3,000 of stimulus checks per month, and 5 stimulus checks per month across the board. And with that, in the big second half, we continue with those stimulus checks that came from Congress, those beautiful checks E through K. Heat up the big second half starting right now. Thank you for joining me on a big night from the shores of Santa Monica, California. A big week this week, but guess what's going to happen next week? On the 13th and 14th, wow. On the 13th, we will have the CPI release. On the 14th, the Federal Reserve will announce its latest FOMC results. I'll have that in just a few minutes, but let's get to some more stimulus checks right now. FSC checks continue with check E, a $7,500 stimulus check. Love it. Check F, a $4,000 stimulus check. I love it. Then stimulus G, a beautiful 30% off stimulus check. Then check H, a $2,000 stimulus check. Then we go to check K. Excuse me, J. I just skipped 2 letters. Check I, a beautiful $8,000 stimulus check. Check J, a $8,000 stimulus check. And then check K, a $14,000 stimulus check. Where did we get these checks E through K? In the membership newsletter, down at checks E through K is where you get these to go apply. You're not done there yet. You're going to go do checks L and M. I found these. L is $100,000 on average of loan interest-free money. M is $4,000 of free stimulus checks. Then N, my favorite stimulus item of all of them, a brand new computer. Would you like a brand new computer for the holidays? Go get stimulus N. Brand new computer or tablet or laptop. It's all incredible. And it also includes free internet. It's stimulus N for members in the membership newsletter down at stimulus N. Then stimulus O, 0 down payment, 0 closing costs for a brand new first-time home mortgage. And then we go to P and Q, 30% down, and Q is $8,000 stimulus check. Love it. So let's go over a little bit more about these federal stimulus checks. FSCs. Number 1, They're for you if you're in America. That's all you need to know. Number two, only one income qualification. If you're single, it's $75,000 less annual income. You qualify. Married couple, if you make $150,000 less, you qualify. That is it. Doesn't matter if you rent or you own. Doesn't matter if you're behind on bills or ahead of bills. Doesn't matter if you're children or don't have children. Doesn't matter if you're on benefits or not on benefits. The largest stimulus check, $100,000 stimulus check. The smallest stimulus check, $8,000 stimulus check. What do we have stimulus checks for in these wonderful federal stimulus checks? We have the home repairs, the home appliances, the computer, the car, the internet, the rent, the mortgage, the utilities, just lots of really wonderful, wonderful stimulus checks. Fastest routing time, 2 days. Johnny started on Monday. By Wednesday, he had $45,000 of stimulus checks from this channel. Then by Friday, he had 15 applications in for stimulus checks, half rejected, half approved. He also had $80,000 of stimulus checks in his hand. The next week, he helped mom, 50,000 stimulus checks, dad, $50,000 stimulus checks. Then, over the next 20 days, he helped 20 friends and neighbors get beautiful stimulus checks of $250,000 of stimulus checks. You do it right now. Go to this video, join the channel, become a member, Purple Hawk, Purple Power Casino VIP, then open that membership newsletter. Remember your time zone. Are you in the Midwest? Then your Central Standard Time, it's 9 o'clock. If you're on the West Coast like me, it's 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And if you're on the East Coast, it's 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You look for that YouTube alert, go down past the guy with the surfboard where it says click here and view the post, and that sends you into that incredible newsletter. And you start applying. Now, in addition to these federal stimulus checks, there is also inflation relief stimulus checks. They're nice, but they're not anything to really focus extensively on. Why? Because those inflation relief stimulus checks are not a lot of money. They're like icing on the cake, ISC. And that's why I call them ISCs. It's not the cake, it's like the icing on the cake. $1,000 where you learn about them in the membership newsletter down at check D. Then we go to lifetime stimulus. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. What do we know tonight about lifetime stimulus? Well, everything that Jay Powell has said to us so far about inflation has so far been right this year. Last year was wrong, but this year he's been right. He says it's going to be 2 more years of inflation. With 2 more years of inflation, that means you're going to get 2 more years of lifts of your benefits after this coming year. That means 1, 2, 3, 4 raises of your benefits on top of each other. Let's go over how this works. Let's take it back to about 4 weeks ago. In the month of November, you got a check if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security and Rail benefits. Do you remember how much that was? Well, that check for November 2022 was 5.9% higher than the prior year because that was raise number 1. Come January 2023, you're going to get raise number 2 on top of 5.9%. You'll get another 8.7% on top of it. That's starting on January 2023. That brand new add-on of additional 8.7 continues all of 2023. Then on January 2024, you're going to get another raise on top of that. Likely 2 to 4%. That's likely where inflation may be next year. And then in 2025, January 2025, you'll get their 4th raise across the board. Once your benefits go up, they never go down. So by 2025, you'll have the largest check of a generation and it will never go down. Moreover, what you'll be spending on will go down to the lowest of a generation because inflation will be gone by 2025 and the items you'll be buying will be cheaper than ever when you have the biggest check than ever before. It's incredibly great news. And with that, let's go back into the other details we're working on tonight, which are very, very fascinating. We're going to talk more about this recession. We're going to talk more about these bad numbers on retail sales. First, these retail sales numbers are very, very troubling when you combine them with the first lead-in story tonight, the jobs numbers. So more people are continuing unemployment than ever before since February of 2022. That means that people who are unemployed long-term is getting very, very high, the highest of the year since February. And now we know that the retailers, that's brick and mortar, that's store shops, did not have good Black Friday sales numbers, did not have a lot of earnings. That's bad news for everyone because if they don't, guess what's going to happen? People are going to get laid off. Stores are going to potentially close, businesses may go bankrupt, and more layoffs will happen. And that's very deeply concerning in view of the jobs numbers, which are actually not that good to start. Let's go back to that recession or not. The yield curve inversion. All you need to know, I know it sounds like a very confusing word. It's hard to say even, yield curve inversion. All you have to know is that that thing with the word yield never, rarely, ever happens. And when it does, you absolutely go into recession. Let's understand. It's the worst this curve has ever been, this yield curve inversion. It's the worst it's ever been since 2 prior recessions. There was a recession in 2000, a recession in 2008. It's the most inverted it's been since 2001. Yeah, that's not particularly good data tonight. Now let's talk about next week, the 13th and the 14th, very critical. On the 13th, the December 13th, the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, which you know is the major index for inflation, is released from the month of November. It's likely to say what you think it's going to say, much like the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index, the PCE, said last week for inflation. That inflation went up month to month, then it went up year to date. Here's what you need to understand, is that the analysis out there continues to be wrong. They continue to tell you that inflation has softened. It hasn't softened. If inflation goes up compared to the prior month, a half a percentage point, 1 percentage point, a quarter of a percentage point, that's up. It hasn't gone down. That's up. I mean, we all know what up is and what down is. That's up. So inflation hasn't gone down month to month. When you look at year to date, it's really high. It's really up year to date. So there is nothing that would surprise us next week in that CPI, unless it really said everything was down month to month and down year to date. It's not going to say that. So I don't think there's going to be any surprises. Will there be a surprise on the 14th? On December 14th, the Federal Reserve meets to determine whether they're going to raise interest rates for the December FOMC meeting. The answer is yes. The question is how much. Wall Street is literally betting the barn. I think you would say almost 90% of Wall Street is betting that's going to be 50 basis point at that December 14th meeting. I think there's a 50% chance it could be 75. The fact that no one is talking about 75 basis point, if it happens, I'm not saying it would, but if 75 basis point is the announcement by the Federal Reserve on December 14th, expect everyone to go crazy mad on Wall Street. They're not expecting it. And if it happens in a way in which they're not expecting it, they're not going to be happy at all. Now, here's my takeaway, is that inflation is not going down. And the Federal Reserve has 2 choices, 50 or 75. It's more likely they're going to do 50. But if inflation still does not go down after a few more months of this craziness, what are they going to keep on doing? 50, 50, 50, 50, and inflation's still flat? They can't keep on repeating the same error. They need to get ahead of inflation. Their own words are, we need to be more fast acting, more aggressive to get it down. Very, very troubling across the board. All right, let's go back into the other details we're dealing with tonight. So that is inflation. We know that salaries are going up month to month. We had that in the Personal Consumption Expenditure Index released last week. Those salaries are going up a lot. Are the rents going up? They still are going up. The milk and the eggs and the produce, we know they're going up. Now, here's a little bit of commentary. I don't know where it belongs, but I'm throwing it right here. If I was in Washington, D.C., you know what I would do right today? And I think you would agree with me. Jump in the live chat if you can say agree or disagree. Tell me what you think, agree or disagree. What I would do if I was a congressional representative or a House member or a senator, I would bring in the supermarket executives into a congressional hearing and ask them, okay, here's the eggs, and they're this many dollars a dozen, let's say $5 a dozen. Last year, they're $2 a dozen. Explain to me, supermarket executive, how it still cost you so much more for those eggs to justify $5. The reason why I'm bringing this up tonight is because the data on this channel this last week showed supply chain disruption gone. Shipping costs in from China down, the lowest of the last 2 years. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. The gasoline prices, the lowest on this channel of 2022. So wait a second. The freight for the barges is the cheapest of the year. The gasoline is the cheapest of the year. Why would grocery stores still claim they have to charge you an arm and a leg more for goods when there's nothing that indicates it costs them more to get it to you than it did early this year. The reason why the produce, the groceries, the milk and eggs, the vegetables were so high this entire year was because of gasoline. Gasoline is cheap now because of freight costs. Freight costs are down. Shipping costs are all down. So all those things are gone. You know where I'm going with this. Are the groceries just gouging us? Jump in the live chat. Do you think they're just gouging you? I think they are. I really do think they are. I don't think their price point is justified. And we see that certainly what's happening with a lot of the corporate earnings report on this channel over this last week and this month, in which these packaged good products, they show that their costs have not gone up that much, but they're able to raise the prices a lot and they're making a lot of money. Does this feel like something? It feels like what Washington said about the oil executives, that the oil executives were just sort of gouging us on prices. It's starting to feel like the food industry, and that, of course, is the supermarkets and the canned product companies, may be unjustifiably raising prices when there's actually no particular reason for it across the board. Ultimately, it's the consumer. The consumer willing to pay for it, then they'll pay for it. If they're unwilling to pay for it, then the markets will learn left and right. Let's go into the other stories we're working on across the board tonight. So the other stories we're working across the board tonight is the following. Number one, the sentiment, the mentality of stimulus is so critical. Let's go over why the sentiment, this mentality, is different now than it has been before. Number one, the stimulus covered on this channel that I detail check by check, item by item, that's what you do. You just go get it and go do it and keep your mouth shut and go get checks. Do not think about it too much. Do not say, well, I wonder if I should just go apply. And the time that you don't apply, thousands of people are stimulus stampeding in front of you. And when you wait around to apply for checks, people get the money before you, and guess what happens? The money runs out. Don't start thinking that there's another qualifier. Number two, don't try to make it more difficult than it is. So if it's an online application, if it's check A and you click the link and you go right and apply, just go apply. Why are you picking up the phone? Don't pick up the phone. There's no one to pick up the phone for check A. You just go right and apply. Don't be calling up the Department of Sanitation, the garbage department, to ask about stimulus check. I spoke to Georgette and she said there's no stimulus check. Well, that's garbage. Don't be doing things you shouldn't be doing. Just go apply. Just go apply. Number three, stop asking about your state. It's one of the biggest stories I try to teach viewers this year. There's always different years where there's different things that I have to teach. The first year was Michigan. There's no money in Michigan. Yeah, there was Michigan everywhere. There was money for everyone in Michigan in 2020, but it was one of those stories that kept on coming back and back and back. This time is, what about my state? It has nothing to do with your state. It doesn't come from your state. It comes from the federal government. Your state is broke as a joke. Your city and county are broke as a joke. It doesn't come from your city or county or state. It comes from the federal government. It doesn't matter where you live. You can move across the county border. You can move to another state tomorrow and still get the check because it doesn't concern where you live. It's from the federal government for Americans. Finally, what's important to understand is this is the way it's done. And you need to move very aggressively and very fast. If you've gotten stimulus before on this channel, congratulations. Go get more money tonight. Keep on pouncing across the board. LALATE is now number one for this financial news story in America. I put a lot of research into all the recordings. No one else goes over this. No one else records it. And you're not going to see this type of breadth of coverage anywhere else. My focus has been with you since day one. I'm the only one who's been on this subject matter since day one and is still on the subject matter since day one. Number two, LA is now number three overall of all financial news. And now you don't have one, but three channels to learn about all this. LALATE was the original. It's still going on. LALATE 1 with evenings LALATE every night at 5 o'clock, countdown at 6 o'clock, stream Stillness at 7, extra at 8, and sunset at 9. On channel 2 is our apparently very well-watched new hit show, Stimulus Live. Got rebranded a few days ago and has literally gone through the roof. It is every day on on Channel 2, 24 hours a day, going over all these incredible details one at a time. On Channel 3 is Wall Street Live to go over everything you need to know, and you may be watching any of those 3 shows. And on LA1, do not forget to watch LALATE Live. That starts every night at about 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time and continues 24 hours a day from the shores of Santa Monica, California. So next week is going to be a critical week. The rest of this week is far from over. We're going to see more of the countdown to the 13th and the 14th of December. That's CPI and the Federal Reserve's announcement. We're going to see more corporate earnings, but we're getting surprises left and right. Remember what we know tonight. Number 1, Americans are running out of cash or have run out of cash. Last night we learned from Jamie Dimon, head of JP Morgan Chase, that Americans will run out of cash savings accounts in early 2023. Another economist at KPMG disagreed and said that's middle-class households, low-income households ran out of savings accounts this year. So either way, whether you take the aggressive or the conservative approach, savings accounts are going to be gone early next year. Number 2, credit card debt limits are the largest of our generations. So credit card spending is out of control. And if you put those 2 factors together, those 2 data points together, it means that the credit card bills will go unpaid come early next year. And you know what unpaid credit card bills result in. Yeah. Number 4, the housing data is not particularly any better tonight than it was last night. Every night it's just actually worse across the board. So I don't repeat the housing implosion, the housing market crash every night on this channel, but mortgage applications are dramatically down. We learned last night, and new home starts down, existing home starts down. Do not get confused by the Lowe's data tonight that Lowe's home improvement is really making a lot of money. It's not necessarily based upon people building a new home. It's based upon a person staying in the home and making repairs. And number 3, crypto is looking really bad. Crypto is looking really bad. There was a series of reports earlier this week featured on this channel where one person said that that Bitcoin is going to go to 250,000 by December. Hello, there's only a few days left in the month of December. And another person saying it's going to go much lower. I'm predicting cryptocurrency is going to really lose its shirt by the end of the year. Bitcoin, in my prediction, is going to go to 12,000, Ethereum to less than 1,000 before the end of the year. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, keep on getting all those incredible stimulus checks. Join me throughout the day. Programming starts very early on this channel every day at 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m., then 4 a.m., and then 7 a.m. and to 9 a.m. as well. Lots of shows and lots of fun. From the shores of Santa Monica, California, have a beautiful night. And stay informed, stay focused, get all this incredible stimulus. Do what you need to do to provide for your family by pouncing, learning to earn, and always looking beautiful. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful night, and as always, stay here with LALATE for more.